I had never seen anything quite like this before reading these new reports about the excavations taking place beneath the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, one of the most important sites in the entire Christian world. What the archaeologists are uncovering is truly astonishing. It is as if we are opening an ancient book and literally turning the pages of history that have been buried for millennia. Think about this for a moment. For more than 1,000 years, that massive church in the heart of Jerusalem's old city has been the center of pilgrimages, prayers, liturgies, and intense devotion. We know it was built in the 4th century by Emperor Constantine after his mother, Helena, identified the location as the place where Jesus was crucified and buried. But what is happening now goes far beyond tradition. We are talking about physical evidence, fragments of soil, pollen, and plant remains that may tell us what that exact environment looked like 2,000 years ago. Since 2022, beneath the church's floor, a team of archaeologists led by Professor Francesca Romana Stassola from Sapienza University of Rome has been conducting excavations slowly and with extreme care. These are not dramatic digs with massive trenches opened all at once. This is meticulous work, carried out sector by sector, preserving the structure of the church while carefully removing layers of soil that date back from the Iron Age all the way to the 1st century of the Christian era. And it was in those deeper, older layers that they found something that immediately brings us back to the accounts in the New Testament, especially what is written in the Gospel of John, chapter 19, where the site of the crucifixion is described as a garden. John writes that in the place where he was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had yet been laid. During the excavation, archaeologists collected soil samples that revealed traces of olive trees and grapevines, plants that were cultivated in that region about 2,000 years ago. This is not just a fragment of wood or an ancient tool. These are traces of organic life, ancient botany preserved beneath the soil that today lies under one of the most revered churches on the planet. To identify this, researchers used archaeobotanical analysis and pollen studies. In other words, this is not based on guesswork. It is science applied directly to the soil. They identified seeds, plant remains, and microscopic traces indicating that olive trees and grapevines, agricultural plants common in the hills surrounding Jerusalem at that time, truly grew there. The presence of these plants is significant not simply because they are ancient. It is significant because they correspond precisely to the description given by John, who places the scene of the crucifixion and Jesus' tomb in a garden setting. That is what makes this discovery extraordinary. When ancient written texts describe a specific environment and archaeology uncovers physical evidence of that very environment, we find a meeting point between a 2,000-year-old text and the real ground beneath our feet. But let's understand more clearly what this soil is telling us. Long before it became a sacred Christian site, long before Constantine built the church, this area was actually not part of the city of Jerusalem during the time of Jesus. Studies indicate that the city walls of 1st century Jerusalem stood further inward, meaning this land, where the church stands today, was outside the walls and used in different ways over the centuries. Originally, the area functioned as a quarry. Archaeologists found evidence that during the Iron Age, long before the birth of Christ, the site was used to extract limestone, the same stone that built many of Jerusalem's ancient walls and structures. Over time, the quarry was gradually abandoned, and the land was slowly filled with soil and sediment. As the quarry was covered, evidence suggests the space was transformed into cultivated land, an actual garden, with low stone walls and sections filled with soil indicating organized planting. These remains are far more than botanical curiosities. They show us how people living there 2,000 years ago used that land. And there is more. The soil also revealed rock-cut tombs dating to that same period. It was common in that era to carve burial chambers into limestone rock. This means that before the church was ever built, the site was, at different times, a quarry, a cultivated garden, and a burial ground. That combination is remarkable because it aligns with what certain ancient accounts suggest, a place where around a newly carved tomb, which tradition associates with the tomb of Jesus, there was a maintained green environment rather than just exposed rock or barren ground. And now science is indicating that there truly were agricultural traces dating to that period. It is important to note that radiocarbon testing has not yet been completed on the plant remains. Such testing would help confirm their precise age. However, based on the stratigraphic layers and archaeological context in which they were found, experts point to a pre-Christian period, placing these remains in the same time frame in which Jesus lived. Professor Stasafola has emphasized that this type of archaeological work is extremely careful and complex. The team works in small sections at a time, often temporarily closing parts of the church so that the work can continue without interrupting pilgrimages or compromising the historical structure. Even so, the team has already uncovered fascinating artifacts beyond the plant remains. They have found pottery fragments, oil lamps, Roman coins dating from the 4th and 5th centuries, and even animal bones that reveal the kinds of food consumed by priests and pilgrims over many centuries. There's something else that adds even more depth to this story. Beneath the edicle, the small structure that encloses the tomb venerated as Jesus' burial place, archaeologists discovered a circular marble base. This is particularly intriguing because some of the earliest depictions of the tomb describe it as circular. That marble base may belong to the earliest monumental structure built there during Constantine's time in the 4th century. All of this gives us a richer picture of what that site represented over the centuries. It was not simply a random location that suddenly became religiously significant. It was a place that underwent multiple transformations, from quarry to cultivated garden to burial site, and eventually to one of the most revered centers of Christianity. The fact that traces of olive trees and grapevines were found there is especially powerful because these plants carry deep meaning in Jewish and Christian tradition. The olive tree symbolizes peace, provision, and spiritual heritage. The vine represents joy, celebration, and life. Discovering physical remains of these plants in a place that today represents the heart of Christian faith adds a striking symbolic layer to an already profound scientific discovery. Perhaps most importantly, this discovery reminds us that archaeology is not just about finding treasure or rare artifacts. It is about understanding the real lives of people who lived thousands of years ago, how they farmed, how they buried their dead, how they shaped their surroundings. When such findings echo an ancient account like the one in the Gospel of John, it does not serve as theological proof, but it does enrich our historical understanding of what the environment may have looked like at that time. As Professor Stasafola herself has stated, archaeology cannot confirm events of faith, such as the resurrection of Jesus, through physical evidence. What it can tell us is what was physically present, what the landscape looked like, what plants grew there, and how the land was used. And in doing so, it shows that the ancient references to a garden may have been rooted in historical reality. In the coming months and years, as the excavation continues, more information will likely come to light. The documentation process is slow and meticulous. Thousands of fragments must be analyzed, cataloged, and interpreted within the broader historical framework of ancient Jerusalem. Yet even now, with what has already been discovered, we are witnessing something remarkable. Through microscopic traces of pollen and plant remains, archaeology is giving us a glimpse of the physical environment surrounding one of the most significant events described in the Gospels. And when we imagine those olive trees and grapevines growing there 2,000 years ago, hearing the quiet footsteps and distant conversations of another age, we can almost feel the connection between the ancient text and the archaeological reality beneath our feet.